Tonight, I want to take the time to examine being called to battle or being called to arms, only taking a look back and realizing that your life isn't worth the fight. You're tuning in for those in the cheap seats. I want to take a moment to discuss the importance of always enjoying life and taking the little things in life with great pleasure. Because there comes a time in everyone's existence when you have to prove if there's something worth fighting for and what are you willing to fight for in your empowerment efforts. I think a lot of times we get lost in the rhythmuck of fighting for one's justice and empowerment, which is always a must. We have to fight for our empowerment. But I think a lot of times what we miss in fighting for empowerment is, what do you do before you go off to war? Most people live their life. War is an essential element to fight for when you're trying to free oneself from oppression. But war shouldn't be something that is done for all of one's existence. You have to have a time in life where you don't engage in warfare. You have to have a time in life where you actually enjoy what you're fighting for. And this is what I want to address with you all tonight. One's empowerment is important. We must always fight against white supremacy. We must always fight against injustice. But we also have to find ways to enjoy life. Life is worth living, especially when you enjoy it. And a lot of us don't enjoy life because the life that we're currently living is not actually one of taking the time to enjoy life, but you're just existing in it, if that makes sense. See, if you're living your life, you're actually enjoying the things that come with expressing oneself in life. When you're existing, things are just happening around you and you're not taking an active part or role in that structure. So I think a lot of times what we have to remember that just because we're fighting for empowerment, just because we're trying to free ourselves from oppression, doesn't mean that your life has to be all strict and constructed, or constricted, I should say, around a nonstop party of fighting. You should always take time to love. You should always take time to live. You should always take time to enjoy family, friends, and camaraderie of just being in the moment of life. And that doesn't mean that you should forget that we are fighting a system of oppression here. We're up against great odds in dealing with white supremacy. But white supremacy should not be the only thing that drives you, because I guarantee you this: the ones who are actually facilitating white supremacy are enjoying their life, and they have every avenue afforded to them to enjoy their life. But just because they have everything afforded to them to enjoy their life should not mean that you should forget about enjoying your own life. What we have to do as a society, as a community, especially within the Black empowerment realm, we have to remember that we have to fight against injustice. We have to fight to free ourselves from oppression, but we also have to remember that while we're doing this warfare, we have to remember that there are things back at home that we love. There are things back at home that we are out here fighting and waging this warfare for. And that is freedom of expression, that is freedom to enjoy one's family, and it's freedom to love. Too many times I've heard people in the conscious community say that I don't have time to have fun, I don't have time to enjoy this, I don't have time to laugh. Well, if you don't have time to do any of those things, you're a sad person. And I don't care what you're fighting for, your empowerment, white supremacy, injustice. I don't care what you are fighting for. If you don't enjoy life, if you don't laugh, if you don't love, if you don't cry, if you don't feel pain, if you don't feel anguish, if you don't embrace joy, then you're a sad person. And if you can't take time to reflect on the enjoyment of life, then you become the very thing you're fighting against. You become injustice yourself. You become an injustice against one's own self. I just wanted to take a little time to express that. I want everyone to realize that you have to take time to enjoy life. Although I know it is very hard and constricting when you're fighting against white supremacy, but you still have to find a way to enjoy yourself. That's all I have tonight. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.